Good evening and welcome to eNews. I'm Shahan Ramkisoon. It's great to have you with us. Our top stories tonight. Free State residents are hopping mad as taps are dry for 4 months now. They're now being forced to share old wells with animals. The recovery of state assets is set to be accelerated with the appointment of a special investigating unit tribunal. This leads our bulletin. Residents of a Free State town have been forced to rely on unpredictable water trucks or resort to drinking from old wells along with animals. Taps in the area have been dry for about 4 months. COSATU and the SACP in the Free State say their pleas for help from government have fallen on deaf ears. Linda Kulu reports.
It's been 4 months since taps in the riverside community in Qwaqwa ran dry. This is one of many communities under the Maluti Phofung municipality, which was placed under administration last year. Getting water now requires physical strength. Even the elderly and frail, like retired teacher Munewe Mlangeni, have to keep up.
How to not how we get Lilo Tama and so him. Wamatu, one Mutuajo Harry, Kitty like at some Santikilo Salamahalani, Santo sent to better.
But all this running has become a ticket to the doctor's room.
Kimutua Kere, Kimutua high blood, Yahatala, let's be sorry, said Pilue. How that out and to the pillow again? Pilua.
According to residents, there's no schedule for the water drop-offs. Hearing the rumbling of the truck, they must drop everything because it might be a while before it returns.
Look, I am. I'm from the funeral. Immediately after the funeral, I had to run for Jojo to get water for my poor children.
There's no schedule. You just told that here there's a Jojo tanker. Then you have to rush. If you're not at home, hard luck.
And when push comes to shove, this old well and other water pits around the neighborhood will just have to do.
Our lives have been deteriorated to this because some of the people are getting their water from these wells. They drink with animals. That's basically what this government is doing to us.
20-year-old Ramakaza Lesotho has put his life on hold because he fears his mother won't be able to fetch water by herself.
I just finished my studies last year, but I felt the need to take a gap year in order to help my mom.
When ENCA contacted the Department of Water and Sanitation, we were told the Maluti Phofung municipality has the answers, but residents say calls and visits to the municipality go unanswered. Even protests have proved a futile exercise. Lindokuhle Xulu in Qwaqwa.
The Special Investigating Unit has been given more clout. President Cyril Ramaphosa has appointed a tribunal to assist. The presidency says this will help finalize matters the SIU refers for civil litigation after it concludes its investigations. It says the tribunal will enable the SIU to recover assets or money lost by state institutions through corruption. The presidency believes this will ensure dodgy people are held accountable. The litigation process includes both public and private sectors as well as entities. Acting ANC spokesperson Zizi Kodwa is denying that he raped a woman last year. The accusation was made public yesterday. The ANC's Enoch Godongwana clarified the ruling party's stance at an unrelated briefing today.
I want to point out that no organization would not be worried with that. Okay? Any organization would be worried about that. But for God's sake, ANC members, like all other South Africans, are entitled to due process. One of the difficulties I have with the discourse is something that says, no, without any discourse, something must happen to them. I think that's the fundamental weakness of the discourse. We're not saying anybody must not happen anything, but I'm saying we're all worried about those allegations.
The controversy around independent power producers doesn't seem to be dying down. There have been concerns about the cost of IPP deals as the country's energy crisis deepens. Now, Energy Minister Jeff Radebe says there's no conflict of interest with him, IPP deals, and his relation to brothers-in-law Patrice Motsepe and Cyril Ramaphosa.
I have no conflict of interest whatsoever, as it is evident from the report that I've just given you. The 27 IPP agreements that I signed in April 2018 was to execute what was already a decision that was taken by my predecessor, Minister Tina Jumat Peterson, way back in 2015 and 2016. As I understand it, by the IPP office will also allude to that point, because they are the ones who have the information. Even at that time, the person that you are referring to never bid for the IPP in any of those 27 IPP agreements. So the issue of a conflict of interest does not arise. Every year, we are enjoined Parliament to declare our conflict of interest. I sign diligently every year. If I have any conflict of interest, I have no conflict of interest. In terms of the cabinet system as well, every year I sign a declaration to the president. I have no conflict of interest whatsoever.
A group of young Gauteng doctors is literally taking the fight against depression and suicide to the classroom. They say an increase in the number of pupils between the ages of 12 and 17 killing themselves is worrying. Malungelo Boy reports.
It's assembly time here at Buhle Bemfundo Secondary. And on this day, it's back to school for these young doctors. They are visiting several schools in Tsakane, Duduza and Thokoza. Their mission to talk openly to pupils about depression, suicide and whatever else is bothering them. According to the World Health Organization, depression is the third leading global disease burden on adolescents and leads to suicide. Close to 800,000 people take their own lives every year, while the plan is to reduce the suicide rate in countries by 10% by 2020. These young doctors want school pupils to know the signs.
They lose interest in whatever they found interesting before.
During these talks, pupils are encouraged to seek help when they are burdened or overwhelmed.
Be honest enough to say, "Angiko right," because often what we see a Pulu song is the end result.
The team behind the Doctor in My Classroom initiative says there's been a rise in attempted suicides in the area.
We want to open the platform and say these things are real. We get about 2 to 3 admissions a day of people who have tried to kill themselves. And this is quite alarming because it's from the community. If you think about it, then you have about 15 per week of admissions from people who've tried to kill themselves.
The Doctor in My Classroom is targeting at least 18 schools in the Tsakane, Duduza, Thokoza areas. Malungelo Boy, Springs.
Still ahead on eNews, the Senegalese have been deciding on their next president. The details when we return. Welcome back. In a breakthrough for public healthcare, surgeons in Cape Town have opened their very own 3D printing lab. This technology is not new elsewhere in the world, but it does come at a huge cost. It's something patients from disadvantaged communities wouldn't normally be able to access, until now that is. Leanne Jansen has more.
Orthopedic surgeon Dr. Rudolf Fenter is visibly excited. He set up the first public healthcare 3D printing lab.
This is happening now in-house, right here, in the orthopedics department, done by physicians, for physicians, and stimulating a lot of research at the university, which we're very excited about. You can make the heads move forwards and backwards if you want.
The machines use special plastic and powder to form life-sized molds and help surgeons rehearse intricate surgeries even before the patient makes it to hospital.
So it was all two-dimensional. What this is allowing us to do now is to make those images into tactile objects that we can physically hold. We understand the deformity and we understand what the patient needs better. And by rehearsing it, we can literally go into theatre with a feeling of déjà vu. I've done this before. I've made the mistakes. I've printed out a new model. I've done it again.
Now, patients in public hospitals have similar benefits to their private healthcare counterparts.
Historically, medical 3D printing has been in the realm of private healthcare and funded research, but now that we're doing it ourselves for a fraction of the cost, it's almost negligent not to be as prepared as you can be when you go to theatre.
Venter says they're now paying it forward, offering the printer to specialists in fields other than orthopedics. Leanne Jansen, Cape Town.
International news now. Senegalese voters have cast their ballots in the presidential election. President Macky Sall is seeking a second term. The 57-year-old is a firm favorite to win the election. He's pitted against four rivals, one of which is Idrissa Seck, a former prime minister. The West African country is holding a presidential election for the first time since a 2016 referendum that approved a cut in presidential mandates from 7 to 5 years. And Zimbabwe's consumer rights body is urging people to replace bread with sweet potatoes and porridge. That's because of a shortage in wheat supplies. In the past few weeks, the price of bread has risen by almost 70%. The Grain Millers Association is warning that the country has just a week's worth of wheat. A shortage of foreign currency has restricted imports. Now, Zimbabwe consumes 1.8 million loaves of bread a day. After the break, your weather details, and then we'll tell you about a festival in KwaZulu-Natal that promotes regional trade, unity and social cohesion.
Good evening, everyone. After a hot weekend, let's take a look at your Monday's weather conditions. And the day is going to start off with a little bit of early mist along the western coastline, while there could even be a few showers for the first half of the day in parts of Mpumalanga and KwaZulu-Natal. The eastern parts of the country is where we're going to see the action taking place later on, with thunder showers developing across these areas, becoming especially stormy for parts of Mpumalanga. And then in the west, we'll see a cold front approaching, but it will only be making landfall on Tuesday in the Western Cape. The Northern Cape stays dry for now. Another sunny and very hot day expected for the province as temperatures climb above 35 degrees. And we'll see similar conditions for the interior of the Western Cape, but along the coastline the temperatures will be staying below 30. A lovely afternoon expected for Port Elizabeth with a high of 26, and in the northern mountains of the Eastern Cape is where there could be a few thunderstorms. Stormy weather also develops for KwaZulu-Natal, especially in the north, while along the south coast it looks as though it should stay dry with partly cloudy skies for Port Shepstone. There is a 60% chance of thunder showers in Mpumalanga. Some of those could produce heavier downpours, so please be aware of those conditions, especially if you're going to be travelling on the province's roads. And then for Limpopo, a stormy afternoon as well, especially for the eastern parts, while in the west, only isolated storms in the forecast, where we also have some very high temperatures. Good news for the northwest is that some areas could see a few thunder showers later on, but it does stay very hot. And it's going to be a somewhat cooler day for the eastern Free State, Bethlehem at 27, and you could see some thunderstorms in your area. And finally, for Gauteng, there is a 60% chance of thunder showers for Monday afternoon and evening, and for this reason, it's also a somewhat cooler day in the province tomorrow. Let's look ahead to Tuesday. We're going to continue seeing thunder showers in the eastern parts of the country where it remains very hot, while the cold front cools the Western Cape and brings some rainfall to that province. And then on Wednesday, the cooler air will be pushing into KwaZulu-Natal with some cloud cover and some rain, and a high of only 23 degrees in Pietermaritzburg. That's all from the Weather Centre. Goodbye for now.
Now, film stars will grace the red carpet in Los Angeles tonight for the 91st Academy Awards. Up for Best Picture are Black Panther, Bohemian Rhapsody, A Star is Born, and Vice, among others. Glenn Close and Olivia Colman are seen to be in a tight race for the Best Actress Oscar. A Star is Born actress Lady Gaga and her director and co-star Bradley Cooper will perform Shallow. The song is also tipped to win an Oscar. British band Queen will open the show with American singer Adam Lambert as lead singer. Now, Rami Malek, who plays the band's real frontman from Freddie Mercury, is the favorite to win Best Actor. The Umtai Marula Festival is underway in northern KwaZulu-Natal. The popular annual event attracts thousands of international and regional tourists. It also promotes regional trade, unity, and social cohesion. Sipamandla Goge has the details.
Song and dance, celebrating an ancient cultural practice. Locals say the Umtai Marula Festival offers major economic benefits for the impoverished area.
Abantwana bethu khona bakuthola endeni nokuba khona kwalomcimbi abanye kukhona abakucoshayo ngamathenda mhlamba abakhona kube khona okuncane abakucoshayo ukuthi bakhona ukuphilisa imindeni yabo.
Villagers bring barrels of Marula traditional beer to the local Inkosi's palace. And the event officially marks the start of the calendar year for Gwangwanase people. It's also become a major tourist attraction.
I like it very much over here. I like the music, I like the colors, I like the people.
The people are so nice.
Yeah.
Authorities say the event strengthens trade between South Africa, Mozambique and Eswatini.
You can see that there's so much happening between this region and the neighboring countries, right? Both ways. It's also very important because we should have a better intra-African trade between and amongst our countries.
The Umtai Marula Festival is also used to foster social cohesion, and locals hope it will continue to be a catalyst for economic development in the area. Sipamandla Goge, Gwangwanase, KwaZulu-Natal.
Here's a reminder of our top stories before we go. Free State residents are hopping mad as taps are dry for 4 months. They're now forced to share old wells with animals. The recovery of state assets is set to be accelerated with the appointment of a special investigating unit tribunal. From me, Shahan Ramkisoon, and the rest of the team, take care and thanks for watching.